Once upon a time, in a big and pleasant village of Udi, endowed with beautiful sunrise and many hills which dances in soft waves, it was Harmattan, and the Christmas festivities had just begun. Many sons and daughters of Udi community had begun to come back for Christmas. This Christmas holds a lot of hope for a young beautiful girl called Ola. For in these festivities, many girls in Udi village had found love, including her closest friend Ogo. The wind of the Harmattan reminded Ola of her childhood Christmas days. Every Christmas morning was a miracle for her. She could hardly sleep the night before for the thought and excitement of the day ahead. She would definitely wear her brand new clothes to church, where Christmas party will start right after the church, with lots to eat and to drink, with Santa Claus and many fun dances and prizes to be won. Christmas was more than a dream come true, for every child was immaculately dressed and had so much fun. There was so much to eat and drink, but most especially, so much fun to catch. Each child was given a gift by Santa and pictures were taken. Being a child was much fun, Ola thought aloud. You have no worry of nothing, and nobody makes any demand on you. No high expectation from anyone, especially Mama, who wanted her to get a man at all costs. You have to get a man for yourself, she taunted her. But Mama, Ola asked, do I go around looking for a man to marry me? Enough of these questions, Uli thundered. It seems to me as though you are not interested. That is why I am giving you a push. I am obviously interested, but I think it's dignifying for my man to find me, not the other way around, she explained. Whichever way around it, just get married, she fired. Uli, Ola's mother, had given her so much pressure. Every day, she wonders if she can meet her mother's expectations. And if she finally gets married, perhaps it is not for herself, but for her mom. 5 years have come and gone since after graduation from high school, and many of her mates are married. Happily married, or so it seems. Most of them by rich men from the city who happen to be sons of Udi village. Most Christmases were time for connections. Their sons and daughters from the big cities always come back in their numbers, including those who come from overseas. A lot of avenues were created for the young ones to mingle. This includes dance parties by the riverside and football competitions among the various age grades. The market square buzzed with a lot of activities, with lots of people shopping for Christmas. Evening time was either for dance parties at the riverside, football matches, or hikings on the hill. There was so much fun and no one wants to miss out. The sons and daughters of Udi village, who lives overseas, always sponsor the age grade football match competition. Ola was only 25 years old, but her mother's pressure was becoming unbearable. She learned hairdressing from the city, but there was no fun to start up, or so Uli said. Her mother's heart was not in her skill, but in marriage. Recently, her mother reminded her of Ogo, her classmate from high school. I saw Ogo the other day. She already has 4 kids. Her mother had already begun to make insinuations that perhaps someone had blocked her daughter from getting married. She went from one prophet to another, and they all confirmed her fears. Ola quietly prayed that Christmas morning, asking God to grant her her heart desires, for since it will make her mother happy and proud, it has to be her desires. So on the Christmas day, she went as usual to church, where she works as a children teacher. Her mother had given her good amount to shop for her Christmas clothes. Ola was discontent with herself as she went for the shopping. How can I still be dependent on my mother at 25, she thought. But she had to buy the clothes anyway, for it was her mother's investment on her. So on the Christmas morning, She was at the church doing her work, taking care of the kids, unaware that a young man had been waiting patiently for her to finish. At the end of the service, she made to go home, but was startled by the voice at her back. "Hey, young lady," Dr. Okey said, "I've been watching you do your work at the children's section." "You do a nice work here," he said. Ola blushed at his compliment and said, "Thank you, sir." "No, don't call me sir. I am Dr. Okey," he said. "So can I know your name?" "I am Oledo," replied Ola. "You have a nice name there," complimented Dr. Okey. "I was wondering if we could go out together to watch football this evening." Ola felt as though she was in a dream, with her mouth wide open as she gazed at the young man, but she quickly regained her composure. "Yes, today is Christmas, why not?" she asked. So in the evening, Dr. Okey drove to Uzo family compound with Ola's description and found Ola sitting at the veranda, ready to go watch the football with him. Uli peeped from the window and was lost in thought. Could it be that God had answered her prayers? She thought aloud. Okey asked to greet Ola's mother. Uli received him warmly as she opened the door. "Welcome, my son," she responded politely. Christmas looked again like Ola's childhood Christmas with Dr. Okey's company. Every day they went for a date together, either to watch the football match or to hike on the hills. Love is indeed a beautiful thing, Ola thought. My mother must be right. So by New Year, Dr. Okey made known his intentions to marry Ola and take her back to the city. It was a splendid wedding as Uli could hardly hold her joy. Indeed, he who laughs last laughs best, she said, as she shared her joy with her younger sister Ugomma. All of Ola's mates were married. Some even had 4 kids. But I think Ola married last, but had the best. So that was the tale of Ola's love story as she moved to the city to live with her husband, Dr. Okey. After Ola gave birth to her first baby, her mother, Uli, visited, but never went back again. Things were so rosy for Ola and her husband as he flourished in his medical profession. Ola's mother refused to go back to Udi village except for Christmas, opting rather to live with her only daughter and her rich husband. Who doesn't like better things? She will tell other women who live in Udi village while telling her tale of good life in her daughter's house in the city. 8 years into Ola's marriage, however, with Dr. Okey, Dr. Okey began to have issues with his health. He had a lingering sickness that made him bedridden for years. At first, Ola was supportive, taking care of her husband who could not make money anymore as he was not working. But as this continues into 2 years, Uli began to advise her daughter Ola to look for alternative means to take care of herself. She was not happy with all that her daughter had to pass through during her husband's prolonged illness. "You have to move," she advised. One day, Ola met with a man named Hassan. He was a rich drug pusher who professed to love her and to take care of her. "I will give you the world and all you ever want," the professing lover announced to Ola. "Just leave that your husband and marry me," he said. Ola's mother supported her to leave her husband and get married to Hassan. "We can't eat husband," she said. "We need money to take care of ourselves and maintain our rich lifestyle." So Ola left Dr. Okey and packed into the beautiful mansion that Hassan gifted her. Her 2 daughters, however, refused to go with her. They were at their father's bedside praying that God will make their father well again. "How can you be praying for a corpse?" Ola's mother, Uli, said to her 2 grandchildren. The 2 granddaughters called their father's mother, who came in from another city, and took care of his son. 2 months after Ola and her mother went to live in Hassan's mansion. Dr. Okey began to make progress and finally recovered fully. Dr. Okey, who was grateful to his children and mother, got back on his feet again and began to make even more money than he made before. Meanwhile, Mr. Hassan was caught with hard drugs at the airport by the drug law enforcement agents and was taken into police custody. The beautiful mansion Hassan gifted Ola was taken back and auctioned to secure Hassan's release. Ola suddenly realized that his mother's advice to leave her husband, Dr. Okey, was a bad one and hurried back to make amends. She pleaded for forgiveness and acceptance back into Dr. Okey's life. She was forgiven, but there was no space for her anymore to come back, as Dr. Okey had already married again. Ola and Uli had no option than to go back to Udi village, poor and broken, off from the once rich and happy life. The moral lesson of this story is that true love can only be proven when you stand with your loved ones in difficult times.